Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2 with the most entertaining Terran player out there in the blue, the Admiral. It's GuMiho. But up against the Rocky Zerg in the red, it's Solar. A best of 3 Terran versus Zerg showdown between GuMiho's intensely creative strategies and Solar's best impression at being Cyril's stunt double. Either way, I think we're charting a course for good games for the fans. If that's a course you'd like to follow on a regular basis, of course I'll beg you to like and maybe even subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we at? Jimmy! 1,439 likes on this video, on this cast. You know, cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Overlord speed. Yes, I know Overlords are not known for their agility, or their speed, or their looks, or their smell. But, well, maybe, at least not in a positive way. But, Overlord speed at the 3-minute mark. I think this is a testament to how GuMiho is indeed the most creative Terran. Getting Overlord speed at this timing. In the words of Scarlet, the best reason to get Overlord speed is that way so you're more likely to die to what you see coming. Because 100 gas just to see what they're doing early on. GuMiho has such a reputation for original builds and original recipes for Zerg destruction that Solar is willing to delay his queens and invest his first 100 gas. He didn't even get Zergling speed. He spent 100 gas on Overlord speed to start things off. So this Overlord, already badly bruised. Banshee on the way. And Interference Matrix, he starts now, so that way the Overlord is convinced that by the time it comes in... Oh yeah, he's totally going cloak. GuMiho sending him all the wrong messages now. And that's the thing. It's so easy to misinterpret what you see in the Terran base. Because what did Solar see? He saw a tech lab upgrading on a starport, which you can't tell what they're upgrading. You just know they are. So that implies heavily there will be cloaked banshees. We'll see if he decides he's going to come back around. The banshee coming out. He's building a raven now. Will he realize that cloak should have still been researching at this stage? So far, I think he's calling the bluff. He doesn't have any spore crawlers. Okay, there's one. At quite a late timing considering the Banshee. Looks like GuMiho will actually just build a Raven. Most Terran players, especially in this matchup, would rather cut off their left hand and force feed it to their own mother than build a Raven to help clear the creep. Whereas GuMiho says, it's like having another hand entirely. So... possibly the only player who actually utilizes the Raven as a detector as opposed to like a army support or just worker harass unit. And joining up with the Hellions early on. Is he going to drop an auto turret to kill an Overlord? Doesn't look like it. But the Marines... So the Overlords are quite annoying. They look a lot more vital as they glide around with that Overlord speed here on Oceanborn, but wow, Solar is not slowing down on the drone count. He's already got 68 drones and counting. He's past the 70 mark at the 6 minute. At 6 minute. I didn't want to say 6 minute mark because I already said mark. Oh, hi, Mark. Baneling nest on the way. Lair, 2 more hatcheries. 1-1 upgrades. Actually, I think a little ahead for Solar, though about even. A creep spread already out there. We've had a lot of drama in the production tab, but in terms of units lost, it's a grand total of 1 Zergling and 1 Overlord. So, not the most dramatic exchange early on. Poking in. And, wow, you save so many scans when you could just see the creep tumors. Of course, the Raven's main downside is how vulnerable it is to the queens. But... grinding his way through, finishes off yet another active tumor. And behind it, GuMiho's already built up quite... Solar's gonna go Baneling drops. These two All right, something a little bit different. Not crazy, just a little bit off to the side of what you usually see. Keeping it interesting. And the queen's getting hunted down. Susan! We'll avenge you. One queen taken out. The upgrades are finishing. You might ask which ones, to which I say yes. Baneling drop is headed in. Thankfully, +1 armor just completed, though I think +1 melee will balance that out. They're still got a 2-shot. The SCV's out of the way. Baneling drop gets a whopping 3 SCVs, which is almost as many Banelings as were committed, and probably demonstrating why... Ooh, there goes the Banshee. Probably demonstrating why it's not utilized a bit more often. Though having the threat of it will force something of a response. GuMiho darting in. Nevermore! Well, despite his Craven usage, GuMiho does fall into the trap of just thinking it's its own unit instead of a support, and it dies. Doing a bit of scouting and a lot of questionable activities. But, I mean, who hasn't been there? Infestation pit now on the way. Solar didn't rush towards it, though. So he's not going to have Hive for quite a bit. He's looking to collapse on this army in the center, but the Hellbats just hugging the siege tanks will force the Banelings to commit the Queens off of creep. And I'm not entirely sure this is where they want to be. All right. Oh, would you move? Brenda! I don't... Well, ooh. The Banelings crashing into the Marines. GuMiho plummets to a 25 supply lead as he's truly focusing on the macro over the micro here. Losing a few Marines here and there and forcing Solar to trade out Banelings while he just pumps out 12 Marines at a time. Seems to be working for him, especially considering how delayed Solar was on getting his Hive. For all the economy he had early on, he didn't translate that into teching up very quickly. He has a macro hatch. He still has 80 drones, but GuMiho has slowed down the production. He's got his 2-2 upgrades finishing up, and he's got another army coming across the map. Lurker Den is just now on the way, but that is a lot of Marines. 77 Marines, and he's going to have a dozen more momentarily, nearing the 100 mark, though I don't think he's going to be physically able to achieve it. That is so many Marines. Solar, he's called the Rocky Zerg for a reason, though. It might not be clean, it might not be pretty, but he can take a punch. Just like those queens can take a pounding, if you know what I mean. The queens, no transfuse. Oh, loses a couple more of them, but holds it together. Down goes the hatchery, down to 4 bases as GuMiho takes a 4th base of his own. He's maxed out, 3-3 on the way, but Hive Tech is complete. Lurker Den is done. No adrenal glands, much to my constant and almost regular dismay. And considering he has 100 Zerglings, that's definitely a mistake. We need, like, the Zergling should have, like, red aura on their claws once they get adrenal glands. Just like they get wings, just like Marines get combat shield and stim, which is a very obvious... Even, did you know, well, besides slowing things down, concussive shell marauders have a slightly different look to the animation? Anyways, those Marines caught between a rock and a hard place, but with the siege tanks on the low ground, able to take more than his pound of flesh there. And Solar running every which way. He's actually getting chased down by Marines. Banelings are being chased down on creep by Marines who are trundling into the medevacs. Oh no! Select all army hockey. GuMiho flew the other medevacs from the corner directly over the queens. They were very happy about that. We've got a fusion core on the way, though almost certainly for Caduceus reactor, which GuMiho understands more than most how important that is. Still no adrenal glands. We need like a every minute that goes by, we will shame Zergs for not getting adrenal glands. There's no reason not to. You have the money. You have 100 Zerglings. Why do you hate your Zerglings? Grab your emotional support Zergling today. The Lurkers will burrow, and the Lurkers are going to be a massive, painful... Oh, there we go. No more shame. Great job. He got it. I don't know what caused him to realize it, but he realized it. Adrenal glands is on the way. Yanks in another tank, eviscerates it with the lurkers. And, well, there's still a lot of tanks here from the Admiral. 91 Marines! He's approaching that fabled 100 Marine army. Though it is hard. Oh, he ran out of scans! Be nice to have a Raven now, wouldn't it? Banelings trickling down, though. What a bloodbath on the field. The Hydraslings and Banes decide to just go forward. But there's almost going to be nothing to go back to. Solar's back to 3 bases. But GuMiho managed to lose an epic amount of Marines. He lost 100 Marines in 2 minutes. In terms of supply, he lost more Marines than Solar lost. Well, GuMiho also killed 7 Marines, so it's more like 110 here. He lost more supply in Marines than Solar did in Zerglings, which is not how this is supposed to work. But now he's adding in more and more Marauders. There is... What are we doing with that one siege tank? He doesn't want to waste the energy on Abduct. So GuMiho kills several more Banelings. Adrenal glands and Lurker burrow speed about to complete. But Solar has already lost so much ground to the sheer weight of GuMiho's army. Blinding Cloud optimistic. The Marines so badly bruised, but there's not enough energy for Parasitic Bomb. GuMiho's got his 4th base. He's working on his 5th. And he's sending another army around that left side. The income, dead even. Kind of surprising. Solar with a nice amount of drones. GuMiho looking at 64 SCVs. He just remembered that fusion core. Caduceus reactor is now on the way. It's been a hectic exchange. Parasitic Bomb whipped out onto the medevacs. He doesn't quarantine it quite in time. Takes a little extra damage. But Solar, oh, the medevac dies with some inside. But Banelings! GuMiho looks almost human. Another wave connects. And Solar looking to turn it around. He's got a Nidus on the way. And, though... I'm pretty sure GuMiho was aware of it. I don't know if a Nidus was attempted and failed. Or GuMiho's just anticipating its usage. But he already has several Marauders and Marines in the main. So he's not being stingy with it. There's more Vikings on the way. Advanced Ballistics. He already has Caduceus Reactor. That double medevac energy regen. Awkward exchange as he chases down more Banelings. Hydras get their tails broken as they slither across. The concussive shells chasing him down just preemptively cancels the additional base. Solar finds an opportunity with the sieged up, not even sieged Overseer. But GuMiho has his Nidus patrol team, which is actually a pretty sick idea. And will work out perfectly, shutting down that main option for late game Zergs, which is an attempt at backstabbing a bunch of lurkers into the main and completely cutting down the production. Parasitic Bomb. Oh. Oh my god. Ah! Stop the spread. The Parasitic Bomb does terrible, terrible damage, and now there's a Nidus at the 5th base. Oh, the boys are pulled. GuMiho's actually scrambling all the way back to defend. In full panic, but there's nothing even in that Nidus. As Solar, I don't think expected it to actually complete. And, well, that gives him some breathing room. Somehow Solar has survived to reach near 200 supply, while GuMiho has been, oh my god. GuMiho's such a creative and crazy Terran. He's repairing his medevacs, which, as you all know, is heresy. Partially because it doesn't work with the right-click. A lot of players will right-click to repair. I mean, you can just hit the repair key as well, but any unit but the medevac, you can press right-click and it'll just repair automatically. But the medevac, you just load into the medevac, which makes it very marginally more annoying to actually repair. So that is, it's not just a philosophical thing. It's, oh my! 4 Liberators. Oh, never mind. But that was a bait and switch as the Terran army comes slamming down on the left flank. The Zerglings in the 3rd base. Small counterattack. But I don't know if he needed 4 Liberators to draw out that sort of response, but the Bio Ball just comes rolling around. Another Nidus Worm attempted. This one he's just throwing out with the army. There's 9 lurkers. There's just a repair team of SCVs out there. Oh my. That is so much Terran. 53 Marines and 22 Marauders. 100 supply of bio, and that's not even counting the medevacs. This is the most bio. No ghosts, to be very clear. Not a single ghost on the field, and he might be regretting that. As his Marines are blinded, his Marauders as well. The Vipers having a dramatic effect on the outcome of this battle, turning it from a decisive GuMiho victory into a Pyrrhic one. Trying to take out some more, and those lurkers are also making life incredibly difficult and relatively short. Another scan. More Liberators just reinforcing across the map. The lurkers on top of the tank at the 6 o'clock position will slice through into the mineral line. But GuMiho is knocking at the door with the Liberators. Is there an answer? A Venn diagram of freedom overlapping as he leapfrogs forward. The lurkers with a desperate counterattack. Both players plummeting in supply. But the Marauder count is too damn high, and GuMiho collects the GG. And game 1. What a brutal exchange. Losing over 50,000 resources in 18 minutes. Both these players barely maxed out at any point, despite having more than 3 base economy for most of it. But GuMiho, it's all about quantity. Who needs quality? Not to say Marines and Marauders aren't quality, but not a single ghost throughout all of that just constant biopressure and whipping out a half-dozen Liberators near the end to make things extra difficult. But overall, a decisive victory for GuMiho at the end of the day. And that brings us... Jimmy, that brings us to Amphia. Our most... probably our most creative of maps. The close air distance, the expanding away from your opponent dictates the pace of many late games where it becomes downright easier to just attack the main or the natural directly than it is to attack like the bottom right corner, for example. GuMiho just throwing his barracks right next to the Reaper jump location, cutting to the chase here. Of course, that means he won't have a wall, which conventional wisdom says is a bad idea, but we will see. Whips out a grenade. Where do they keep getting them from? Queen comes out, though, and politely yet firmly asks the Reaper to leave. Zerglings. Oh, he just built a second Reaper. But the SCV will be delayed on the command side. Another SCV comes down. Billy, run! Job's not finished. New job, huh? Well, starport on the way. 2 Reapers. Just keep a little extra control on things. Wonder what he's gonna do with the barracks now. Reapers microing independently. Gets into the main. First Reaper trying to come back in towards the natural. And the Queens. Get off my creep! Okay, Brenda, it's just 1 Reaper. I don't... Let me have this! Okay, alright. Fusion Core! A straight-up battlecruiser rush here on Amphion. Just absolutely no preamble, nothing. He's done no damage. He's just wandering across with like 1 Hellion, but sure, battle cruisers, why not? This would be the game. You know, this is the type of strategy that gets Solar to go for Overlord speed. Yep, that... Did you know Overlords are slower than floating barracks? And for once, we get an actual comparison. Fun fact for Terrans, and I think most of my audience is Terrans, so like and subscribe if you're Terran. Battlecruiser in production. A casual battlecruiser rush, a strategy that has kind of fallen out of style just because players have adapted to defending it. But I don't think it's bad. It can be. Battlecruisers do cost more than a command center. By far, considering if you value Vespeed gas at like 2 minerals to 1, which is probably undervaluing it. They cost at least as much as 2 command centers. But a Reaper Hellion coming in, getting a very solid amount for the very little investment he actually put into it. But he also didn't wall off. So the Zerglings will get in. Huh. Well, there's a reason you usually build Hellions. Not when you're battlecruiser rushing, just in general. Okay, jumps. The problem is that he's gonna... Okay.
Mission failed. We'll get 'em next time.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Oh, it's so fucking stupid. It hurts so much.
GuMiho, what the What in the... What potato gaming?
He's dead, Jim.
That was, possibly the dumbest battle Okay, so if you're going to do a crazy, like, capstone strategy like that, you can't also rewrite the early game by not walling off and not having any units. That seems like a bit much hubris, even for GuMiho. Like, if he just had 4 Hellions instead of a Cyclone, I think he wanted the Cyclone to deny the Overlord, but if he just had 4 Hellions, then we'd still be in the game instead of contemplating our painful existence. But here we are, in game 3. All tied up. We'll just pretend that one never happened. Best of 1. Moving on. That was, almost didn't have time to be disappointed in that one. Solar went with the build 20 Zerglings, and oh, I guess I won the game strategy. The 1/8 assed battlecruiser rush. Sorry, I gotta mentally recover from that. I hope GuMiho has as well. This is why you only break 1 law at a time. Alright? Not that anybody would break the law of not liking and subscribing, or liking, whichever one ends up in liking and subscribing, whatever. But if you're gonna do a crazy build in StarCraft 2, either you go all the way and just completely rewrite the book, like open up with concussive shell marauders into Thors with a nice mass Viking chaser, or you just switch one thing slightly. And the Hellion Reaper, like Reaper Hellion into Battlecruiser, works so well because it just shifts from Banshees into Battlecruisers. It's just a much more dramatic investment in that air superiority. But when you just don't build the Hellions, well, that was a learning experience, is what it does. Moving on. Will he just go back to the Banshees? Indeed he does. He ran in with the Hellions, but based on the timing of everything, did he not see? Oh, that was not good. A rough couple games for GuMiho after a strong start. As just running by with Hellions and losing said Hellions is not a strategy that most players look to replicate. Getting some real whiplash here. But he has a few more Hellions ready to go. And this time around, I think Solar, quite aware, it's very unlikely to be battle cruisers. Though, he could just be faking on the tech lab. But you can't even really start a battle cruiser till about 420. And speaking of the Hellions blazing by, this time, you know, if you just keep doing... Oh my god, did he hit 4 of them with the grenade? The ultimate Brenda bounce. If you just keep running by... And the Banshee comes in. Does he have a spore? Oh no! Susan, why do they keep... This is the Hatchery Owners Association. And you're not allowed to be here. This is Zerg property. But, well, I have a permit. This just says I can do what I want. Yep. "15 SCVs. Sorry. 15 drones slaughtered to the casual Hellion Banshee. The Hellions were probably boggling the mind of Solar so much that the... Well, there you go. Just kind of YOLO in the Hellions so much that they kind of forget that there's a Banshee on the way. So now 19 drones are dead. And he's going mech. What in the mech? And the starport standing guard. Billy, come in. Job's finished. 2 more factories on the way. Okay, well, so we're going to McDonald's with the original Battle Mech connoisseur. It is GuMiho, who invented the Battle Mech Hell clone strategy. The Cyclone especially has gone through several identity changes throughout the history of StarCraft 2. Oh my. And the Queens are going to be hopping into the Overlords because this is just the kind of series we're having right now. Is that a Dropper Lord on the way? Indeed it is. But the Transfuses will keep it together, though it may... You know, unfortunately, Overseers can't also be Dropper Lords. Having your dropship serve 2 purposes is reserved for the Terrans. So the Queens... Wait, would you scooch? Lucille, scooch over. Oh my god, you weren't this thick during the war. We could fly then, and also shut up. Hello. Well, Roachling Queen up against Cyclones and Techs. He's chasing Hellbats. We're coming! But the Cyclones come out, he's gonna be forced to drop out. And we've arrived! And dropping the creep is going to be required for Transfuse. He gets some Transfuses off, not targeting the Overlords. The Queens are taking a ridiculous amount of damage. As we already established, they can take quite a pounding, but the boys are pulled. The Banshee, oh yeah, open the door! What is this? The Queens were here in the first wave, but the entire point of the Queens was to deal with the Banshees, but the Queens already took so much damage. The Banshees will clean up the rest. 17 SCVs slaughtered! But at the same time, that pales in comparison to the damage GuMiho did, considering the time of the game. But more Zerglings coming in. If he gets the SCVs at the 3rd, well, things get a lot dicier for GuMiho. If only he had killed that second Banshee. 2 Banshees is an order of magnitude more dangerous than 1. Able to kill Zerglings and drones in a single volley. He contaminated a factory. What are we doing? Is that tank walled in? Or did he want it here in the first? There's no way it's walled in. Like, it can get around, right? I always say that, but then, lo and behold. Well, Solar's at 43 drones, which now let me check the numbers. Okay. Yeah, that's not enough. So, and he's still building Ravagers, Lings. The Queen's on the way. What is this? He's just gonna drop a bunch of creep. The highway to hell. All right, don't be dramatic, Patricia. GuMiho, though, has a fully operational mech Terran army with 1/1 upgrades, but this is a surprising amount. There's only 2 siege tanks, and he's not building any more. 2 siege tanks are not that difficult to deal with. He has high ground vision, the no corrosive bells. He knocks down 1 tank. There's still the one on the high ground. The Vikings have taken out all the high ground vision, though. Meanwhile, Banshee's on the other side of the map. Hellbats just roasting the entire mineral line. The drones incinerated. The SCVs obliterated. The Queens are struggling off the creep, but continue their relentless aggression and their imperial ambitions. Meanwhile, the Banshees will assassinate a Queen back at home and get to work on the drones at the natural. The Hellbats are roasting the heart and carapaces of the roaches and will eventually be cleaned up. And the Zerg army is now at the doorstep, but Solar is clearly a bit distracted by the domestic issues back at home. There's also a barracks that's floated to the corner of the map that's unrelated. Supply depots will be sieged, but 2 siege tanks on the high ground and 1 on the very high ground should be enough to hold, but he's repositioning one of the tanks, may decide to go in, gets a small reprieve, fires off a wave of corrosive bow to kill off one of those tanks, and the Queen's holding the line. The Ravagers trying to work their way through. SCV's on repair. It's not enough. The Queens have broken through the front lines. But still, back at home, he's taking terrible, terrible damage. Did he lose the Roach Warren? No! I lost my camera angle. This is chaos. Why are there 3 Zerglings? There's creep outside the door, but Solar has almost nothing back at home. 4 out of 6 of the Queens are across the map. This Banshee has 27 kills. And will run from the Queens, who are looking to chase it down. Plus 2/2 mech upgrades. Part of the reason GuMiho's taken this much damage is he's been so obscenely greedy with his upgrades. He got double armory, which is not that expensive nowadays, but getting 2/2 mech while you have barely that many mech units is quite ambitious. But the Queens, whose third is it anyways? Vikings trying to chase. Banshee needs a repair. 34 kills. And is that a Hellbat drop? It's a Hellion drop, and Thor is here. I think these Hellions could... There's just nothing. He's dropping 2 medevacs of Hellions. Goes into Transformers mode. For some reason, the Hellbats take up more space in the medevac. A legacy of olden times. The creep spread is incredible for someone with 30 drones and plummeting. Where you're gonna go? From the frying pan into yet another frying pan. GG! GuMiho survives this tumultuous experience. What a delectable disaster. As both these players just circumventing each other and meeting in an entirely different part of the map. So, the series will go to GuMiho and bring us to our bonus game. Yes, MaxPax versus Solar. Just to get a bit of a comparison on how that goes instead, but wow. That was an experience. I'm not sure, good, bad. That was the saddest battlecruiser rush I may have ever seen at this level of StarCraft 2. Mostly because GuMiho just kind of gave up on, making any sense. But Just chaos across the board. Every single game. GuMiho wins the series against Zerg without building a singular ghost. In fact, for 2 games in a row, he didn't even get stim. So, if only Hellbats could stim. Don't give him any ideas. Maybe next patch. GuMiho again. And Solar. Credit there as well. Like, just throwing it into the Overlords. And if GuMiho had been making a transition into your standard bio play, like if he had been building up the barracks and the engineering base, I think it goes better. Like, you're not going to have as many weird to deal with units. The Queen drops are quite good against Marines with no upgrades, but Hellbats with their just flat fire damage, as well as their tankiness, are significantly harder to deal with. So the Hellbats end up being quite a solid counter to the Mass Queen in kind of a little scene exchange. But now we see what Solar has against MaxPax. MaxPax overall rated significantly higher than GuMiho. In fact, MaxPax rated as the highest level Protoss in the world, though obviously some asterisk there. Now, how does the highest level Protoss compare to a just very good Terran? And I'm like, well, like the 5th best Terran in the world. Not really relevant here. GuMiho's not here. Disappointingly. I'm not sure if there was GuMiho versus MaxPax, but I saw that some creative strategies used here as well. And that's what we try to showcase in these anti-spoiler bonus games. I mean, part of the bonus games are, especially in series that end a little more abruptly, or with less games, like maybe less than the max amount in the series, to kind of mask that. Because nobody wants to be spoiled by accidentally hovering over the video when you turn your phone or your phone falls out of your hand when you're falling asleep. Wake up! Like and subscribe! Alright, got him. But at the same time as well, YouTube has, it's not really a quota, but YouTube very much encourages your videos to be a similar length. And when you post a video that isn't a short, or a not so short, like a tall, or whatever they're doing, they have like 3-minute shorts now. We'll be looking into that. Okay. I've got plenty of shorts out there, though rarely related to what you see on a regular basis, because I want to cover an entirely different sort of demographic, one with very short attention span. But I digress. The point being, if we have a shorter series with interesting strategies, like Solar versus GuMiho, then add another game or 2 in, and we get to that more feature-length quota. So, I think, well, people seem to enjoy it. Let me know. And also, it helps to keep you guessing about who's going to win at the end. And sometimes, while I might know how many games there are, but especially on those closer series, I don't know who wins. I just know the general gist of whether or not we'll need some bonus games. Alright, so Zerg versus Protoss, Oracles, Adepts, Zerglings, you know the drill. 5 minutes in, Twilight Forge on the way, this is where the fun begins. The Shady Bunch heading out. And Roach Warren is on the way. It's not going to be Glaive to Depths. It looks very likely like we're going to see a big blink pressure. The BBP. But the Adepts shading by. Don't do it! There's this little area right behind the mineral line where you got that single space to jam into. And slices up one of the drones. And now, Solar a little undercommitted, but the Adepts, plenty of Zerglings. So it may look like Solar just crushed this, and he did. But look at the worker count, 52 to 62. MaxPax using that entirely to drag out exactly this. A whole bunch of Zerglings. He doesn't have a shield battery at the third, but he does have an Oracle overhead, which means with no anti-air, there shouldn't be a real option for dealing with this. MaxPax is covered for his economic expansion with some light aggression, and that allows him to follow it up relatively safely with even more tech. Blinking +1 on that way, on that way, on the way. Templar Archives joining it alongside. Aspire? Mutas? From Solar? And, well, if it doesn't get scouted, he does have 4 bases. He's got a nice amount of drones, but... Roachling. These Stalkers are still a real and present danger, and Blink is about to complete. MaxPax, the best Blink Stalker player in the world. Stasis creates even more of a choke point. Not going to be able to chase very far off a creep. Solar clearly banking up gas for the Mutas. I wonder if MaxPax will... What? It was a traitor. Alright. Blood for the blood get well. For the Omnissiah. Takes out a Stalker. Accidental A-Quick. It obliterates his own Stalker. Stalkers just jamming themselves into the mineral line. MaxPax doing a great job of holding it down. 10 Mutas on the way. And the Zerglings are at the gates. Recall's back. Needs to wall off if possible, but the Zerglings are going to get in. This is best case scenario. Putting MaxPax on defense while you make Mutas is exactly what Solar needs to do to make those Mutas and severely increase their life expectancy. Because if he's forced to defend with the Mutas, by the time he comes across the map, there's already going to be like 3-4 Phoenixes out of MaxPax. But he has not a single Phoenix. He's got a few Templar, but I'm sure that would have been the option either way. He's building a robotics facility. All of this indicating these Mutas will be a complete and utter surprise. 13 Mutas, 6 more on the way. Mass Mutalist is the choice. He does have a cannon and a battery to hold, but oh my, the panic button. The Muta's just overrunning the front. Shield battery overcharged. Intensely optimistic. The Stalker's coming back to defend, but pound for pound, those Mutas, they might not weigh a lot, but they force a ton of Stalkers. 21 probes gutted immediately, and he's just fighting Stalkers. He wasn't able to get to the Stargate, but he could kill off the Oracles. He's got to be a little careful about fighting into the cannons. Storms on the Roaches and then merges underneath it. Some charge lots out there, but I think Solar has taken full command of the game. That Muta count, a big gamble, but it pays off intensely. And now, well, even though he's making Phoenixes, you really need them before the Mutas are on top of your mineral line. All right, if you're dancing back and forth, chipping away at the Mutas, they kill a few probes, fine. But being down 25 workers is not a recipe for success. Not that the Protoss, with no mouths, would know anything about cooking. But Solar's certainly cooking up quite a strategy here. The Storms, though, a much more deadly counter. But the Templar count is dwindling. They're becoming Archons, which are dangerous, but much easier to dodge. 5 more Mutas on the way. What is the number now? 28! He's fighting Archons! Which is still a bit ambitious, because it's only like 3 or 4 Archon hits, and the entire Muta clump could just be exploderated. Good stasis, but have to target the Mutas with the Archons. Get targeted down before they can get a second volley. MaxPax down 50 supply. More Mutas. Though there is the real and present danger of MaxPax getting close enough to maxing out with such a great death ball that he's simply unable to fight it with the mutas. Though, in that case, I think we go into a base trade. Like, this is enough mutas to just try to kill all the buildings. How many phoenixes? 3. Okay, not enough then. Phoenix is going to try to help out here. He's really buying time, but the Zergling stasis holds for now. But MaxPax is falling apart. He's barely holding it together with band-aids and batteries, but... Solar. Oof. Hydra Den, Baneling Nest. He's still just... There's 27 mutas. 100 Zerglings. He does not have a hive, though. And MaxPax is stabilizing. That Baneling Nest is done. Solar looking to refill. Stasis is taken out before it can complete. Just targeting shield batteries. He's gonna just cleave through the probes yet again. Zerglings coming in. Just incidentally kills a Phoenix. Recalls to the main. Solar redirects easily. And a bunch of the Archons came with it. The Zerglings come back around. The Mutas. He loses a few here and there, but he's trading Lisks for Lisks. Hydralisk out in the way. A much better direct fighting unit. And the creep spread is most of the way across the map. The Queen's not nearly as aggressive as they were against GuMiho, but overall, still in a good spot to help support the push moving forward. Still no hive. The army supplies are even. 121 to 119. But any fight, MaxPax very simply won't be able to rebuild. He has no money. He's running out of income. He's down to 3 bases. This is it. It's not going to get any better than this. He's supply blocked at 161 over 141. A few Templar, 3 of them. It's +2 melee and +2 flyer attack against +2 Protons ground. And the Oracles coming in storms are good. Hydras do not have their speed upgrade. Needs storms for the Banelings. Does he have any more? He has 1 more. There's a merge. Softens up the Archons. Prism dies incidentally. Where are the mutas? Oh my god, the mutas all died. Oh my god. Off camera. Like 20 mutas. I need to see it. Just... I need to see the pain. Brenda, where are you going? Oh wait, he had already kind of bled out with the mutas during... Oh, the Phoenix is chasing down. Alright, alright, alright. Time warp! What is this? Oh. Most of them died. They killed off the Phoenixes, though. So MaxPax blinks up. Baneling speed is done. Good storm. Zerglings at the back. Another storm. Looks for the Archon merge. But the Banelings, obvious, it takes like 38 Banelings to kill an Archon. But if you can hit 3 or 4 Archons, suddenly it becomes... Actually, I think the number's 17. Slightly modified by upgrades. Still, not exactly a great trade, but... Amutus is not going to work out. He's just targeting drones, probes. There's no going back, MaxPax. There's nothing in the main, though. Oh, no. And this army... You make a decision? Does he have recall? No. The Phoenixes are chasing. MaxPax is not headed forward. And Solar's going to be allowed to remax. And now at this point, Max has to pack his bags. And he's clearing the creep. But the army supplies are still even. There's 1 Templar. Throws a storm out. Gets what he can. Solid chunk. 14 more probes dead. But why are you coming back? There's nothing left to come back to. Is he going to try another base? He's warping in another round. Some more Templar. 22 more Banelings for Solar. That's where he's investing his money. The Banelings crash into the Zealots. I'm not sure. Well, anything you can do to whittle down the strength of this army. Okay, the Templar do have storms ready. He loses one without using it. Coming through the rocks, a few zealots headed towards the left side. There are 5 bases for solar, but that could be cut down dramatically. Zealot comes in. A single zealot, but gonna start chopping things up. Hydras come back to defend. I don't know if he killed a single drone. Storm's warding away. There's not much to reinforce. The Templar forced to merge. That was the last storm. And now he's up against the Hydras. Though he does have the Archons pushing forward. Another wave blunks forward. The Hydra count, 32. And it's just so spread out. The Archons, unwieldy. The Hydras are on creep, able to maximize that concave. Archons busted forward. Picks up some Hydras. Archons doing what they can. But the battle line of the Hydras, it looks like it's too strong. JJ, Solar holds. In a dramatic defense, though still a bit tenuous. MaxPax with some uncharacteristic indecision. I feel like the amount of times he gets hit by mutas has to be in the single-digit %. It is not a common strategy, and usually not a particularly good one, because as you saw, even like once the Phoenix count gets to 4 or 5, the mutas are pretty much obsolete. He just did such a great job wielding it that the element of surprise was enough to tilt the game in his favor. But I think a great set of games today. A lot of fun stuff. Maybe not the bestest of highest level games, but I'd say these scrappy brawls are a bit more entertaining anyways. So if you agree, it'd be awesome if you could smash that like button and subscribe. Very subtle. And if you got the means and motivation, also to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But your liking and subscribing is still free for now. Make sure to check out the second channel, Winter Gaming TV, if you want to see more. Thank you to Wardy for putting on these weekly cups as well. Make sure to check them out if you're watching live. And otherwise, I hope I made your day just a little bit better. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.